You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a newborn baby has died from listeria infection in New Mexico, and it is being attributed to the child's mom ingesting raw, unpasteurized milk. Experts believe that the child contracted the infection when the mom drank raw milk during her pregnancy. We are seeing a lot of individuals excited about raw milk, and I don't know why. People are blaming RFK Jr. I don't remember RFK Jr. saying to drink unpasteurized raw milk. I could be wrong. I'm going to look that up. But I know he recommended that we drink whole milk that's pasteurized, but I don't recall any guidance from the government saying that we need to be, that has not been, I think, at all approved by the CDC, et cetera. I mean, RFK Jr. might like it himself, but that is not anything that we encourage from a medical standpoint, because we want, milk to be pasteurized and we want it free of disease. Now, what happened in this case was, we don't know the exact source of listeria, but they are suspecting that the newborn got listeria because the mom drank raw milk. Statement from the New Mexico officials said the tragic death underscores the serious risks raw dairy poses to pregnant women, young children, elderly New Mexicans, and anyone with a weakened immune system. So pasteurization will heat milk and then rapidly cool it. And that kills bacteria. And so listeria can sadly cross the placental barrier. Neonatal listeria has about a 20 to 30% mortality rate. And raw milk can have pathogens like TB, Salmonella, Campylobacter, Cryptosporidium, E. coli, Brucella, TB, according to BBC News. And so I'm a little confused as to why the pregnant woman decided to drink that and not have guidance from the OB, or I'm not exactly sure what happened. It's not anything that we ever recommend. But raw milk is basically milk that you get from cows, sheep, goats. It just hasn't gone through the pasteurization process. From what I understand, I believe in Rhode Island, according to brownhealth.org, it's illegal to sell raw milk. In Massachusetts, you could buy raw milk on dairy farms. In some states, you need a prescription, but pasteurized milk is what we've been using because, unfortunately, there's bacteria that can get into the milk. We want to pre-treat. Now, why would people want it? Well, because they feel raw milk tastes better. They feel that the pasteurization process might not be beneficial in terms of them digesting lactose and some of the components of milk. Many people feel that raw milk is easier to digest. I don't recommend that, but that's what some people feel. And then some people feel that the raw milk helps their gut microbiome. And the question keeps coming up that I keep getting from patients is, if this is what we lived on in the olden days, we lived on breast milk, we lived on goat milk, we would, drink cow milk, how is now these things not good for humans? Well, because there's risks. Same thing with shellfish. We ate shellfish, but shellfish has a dorsal vein that can have a toxin. And if you don't cook shellfish properly, or you don't cook pork properly, that's why it's not kosher. And the laws of kashrut don't allow you to eat that, because if you don't cook it properly, you could die. Yes, we've eaten and we've consumed things throughout the dawn of time, but we've found better ways to do things and to minimize health issues. So raw milk is something that a lot of people want to kind of get back to, but unfortunately, we cannot ensure that it's going to be safe. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I don't recommend it at all, and especially if you're pregnant, because these neonates just don't have the immunity, and the baby could have gotten listeria from something else. Doesn't necessarily have to have been from that, but that's what experts are concerned that might have been the cause. And so tuberculosis can also get into raw milk. People don't understand that. Raw milk can carry bovine tuberculosis caused by Mycobacterium bovis, and people get that from drinking unpasteurized milk or dairy products. Can cause serious illness in the lungs, lymph nodes, kidneys, brain, spine. The pasteurization process is necessary to kill bacteria, and these animals, and the storage of it, and it's there. I do feel we do need guidelines, especially if we're looking at something like that. Milk has to be drunk very freshly, and if we're going to store it for a certain period of time, put it in containers. Now, do we have an issue with the plastic containers? Do we have an issue with cartons and the chemicals lining them? Yeah, but that doesn't mean to go to raw milk. People ask, how much milk do we really need to drink after the neonatal period? We do need to get calcium in, and I think calcium is important. Do we have to drink a lot of it? No, but I think there's a lot of benefits. I think a glass of milk, pasteurized milk, at breakfast fills you up, provides protein, vitamin D, calcium. I think milk can be healthy. Do I like milk? Do I drink milk? No, I don't. I can't stand milk. I can't stand the taste of it. It makes me nauseated. I just don't like milk. I'll eat a piece of cheese, but I'm not a big milk drinker. But unfortunately, this reminds us that infants can be very susceptible. We all can be susceptible. Listeria is a scary, scary bug, and the reason why we have pasteurization process is to protect people. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme. The solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the stock market kind of dropped today, a little bit of a tank because of the jobs report. And we keep hearing in the news that don't worry about AI. We're good. It's not replacing jobs. It's helping us in our current jobs. Such BS. Every time I hear some CEO say, no, we're not using automation to replace jobs. It's to help free up time so that our workers can do more with customer service. And you're like, no, come on, please quit lying. In fact, Palantir CTO Shaim Sankar says the American people are being lied to about AI. In a Fox News op-ed, he said this is one of the biggest lies. Artificial intelligence is coming for American jobs. And so he said fears about technological advancements are commonplace, and that AI is suggesting that the growth of the tool will result in job cuts because this technology is replacing traditional labor. He said, of course, if we look through history, every time we have a new profound technology, there is an incredible amount of fear. He said you could go back to Elizabeth I, who refused to grant a patent on a sewing machine because she thought it might lead to mass unemployment. What you really see is that we're listening to the wrong people. Every time you have one of these revolutions, whether it's the telescope or microscope or the power loom, it's very tempting to listen to the inventors of the technology. However, he said it's not the inventors who decide the impact of the technologies, it's the people who wield it. And he said the frontline workers of America need to have their voices heard. Now, the issues we've been having is the idea of if you're in a business, if you own a company, you have longevity. What the 2020s have shown us is that the average job might only be held for a few months. The average worker may not want to come to work. I mean, we've just so many different things that we thought were predictable in terms of the American job market completely got overturned after COVID. And when employers scratch their head going, wait a second, people don't want jobs? They're able to get unemployment and money without trying to get a job? It just everything got overturned. Everything got flipped over. You don't have to pay your student loans back? You see, you used to go to college. You had student loans. So as soon as you got that degree, or before you even got that degree in the mail, you were applying for jobs because you have to pay back those student loans. There was a need to work. And we're not seeing that. Employers who do have places where people could work, if they can't find people who want to work, they got to find another way to keep that business open. They got rent. They got a lease. They have to find another way to ensure that the customers can get what they need. And I think many people are traumatized, not only the worker, but the employer, on the different attitudes now that people have as it pertains to work. The idea that you're going to hire somebody, you're going to pay to onboard them, to train them, only for them to leave in a couple weeks, starts to make automation and tech and AI a lot more attractive. And if you tell the average employer, if you take on AI, you're going to be a part of the bigger problem where people are going to lose jobs. They'll be like, it's survival now. We're trying to survive. I speak to so many doctors who have left their practices and will not reopen and will just work for somebody, or a lot of people are just retiring. And I'm like, would you ever go back and open? They go, no, because staff. I do not want to deal with staff. Okay, staff used to be a good thing. Yeah, staff made you. You were only as good as your staff. People are so traumatized by staff issues that staff is now becoming a quote-unquote negative term labor costs. When did that happen? Yeah, and poor staff, poor employees, they were never appreciated. They were always overworked and underpaid. But now there's such a hostility between the two that nobody is fighting to maintain the employer-employee relationship. Nobody's working towards that. Do you ever see articles saying, how do you stick with your job for a few years? How do you and your employer partner? And you increase your role and advance your role in the company, and that employer start delegating more to you and allowing you to have part owner. You don't see any of those. No. Because the employers are done. They're like, there's no loyalty from the employees. They're not going to stick with us. They're not, going to come to work. They want to do remote. They want work-life balance. I don't have them, loyal to the cause, so I'm going to replace them. And you have employees going, my employer doesn't give a crap about me. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that I have a child or I'm sick or I need time off he doesn't care. I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to be well to be there for the employer. And the relationship between employer and employee is so bad that it's fallen apart, and employees are going to look for other ways to support themselves, non-employer, meaning they'll look for subsidies and SNAP benefits and things like that. And employers are going to look for non-employees to keep their business operating. And we as Americans are in for a huge cliff and economic downturn if we don't figure out what we're going to do about it. Now, we could incentivize employers to hire people. We could do tax breaks where if you have employees, for every employee, which, by the way, this is what I thought we should have done with Obamacare years ago, if you remember. Don't mandate and threaten and punish employers. For every employer that hires an employee, and by the way, Obamacare wasn't just COVID. Obamacare did this too, where an employer had to purchase crappy insurance, and if they didn't, they got fined. So employers are like, well, if I have fewer employees, I pay less. So fewer employees are the way to go. And I said, let's incentivize. For every employee you have, you get a huge tax break. For every person you provide health insurance for, you get even a bigger tax break. Whereas you're actually making some decent money if you hire. Now, unfortunately, labor costs are so much that AI replacing labor, that's going to be really hard to compete with. But we're going to have to figure out how to incentivize that. Now, people say, Dr. Dahlia, we always need waiters and waitresses. We always need flight attendants. People don't want that. People want to hit a button and get their drink or people don't want to deal with other people. They're fine going up to a kiosk or going up to a machine. Now you could get burgers and pizza in machines. Doctors, you think medicine, doctors are going to be safe. People want to talk to a doctor. You would think the average person really wants a doctor examining you and using their instinct and their sixth sense but no, the average person just wants their medicine. And they want to just type in what they want, get it without ever talking to a doctor, without ever being examined. So with the exception of, maybe dentistry or plumbing or electrician, there's a lot of jobs where very easily AI is going to displace people. And so what do? How do you prepare for that? And we're not preparing. We're all living paycheck to paycheck thinking, you know what, we're good. As long as I could keep my job, as long as I could pay my mortgage. You might want to think about not having a mortgage. You might want to think about moving in with family members and having like a little bit of a compound so that none of you have rent. You all have babysitting. We really need to start thinking about how we're going to save money. And what are we going to do if we don't have jobs? The idea that the government will just print money and support us, it's not enough. For those of you getting $1,200 a month in Social Security, it's not enough. It's pretty frightening. And there are individuals who want to work, and those jobs will not be there because previous coworkers didn't want to come to work, and employers are like, to hell with this. I need to know that we will have the functioning, so we always have customers. Now, we might have to, as customers, fight back saying, I want to see real people. But it's going to be tough. 1-877-Doc Dolly.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big shout out to Jackie listening in Auburn. Love you. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for your support of people being alive and interacting with you, so you don't have to interact with machines and AI. We need more people like you, so God bless you. Who we don't need more people like is this 17-year-old student in New York who threatened to kill all Jewish people at his school at 2 p.m. Apparently, the 17-year-old sent an email to more than 300 classmates. This has been reported by the Daily Caller. This is in New York. He sent a message from a school email account at Renaissance Charter School in Queens. And the email stated at 2 p.m., we will rise up and kill all the Jews in this school and the city. Blank the Jews. Now, police from New York's 115th precinct arrived at the school shortly after 12:30 p.m. following a 911 call about the incident. Officers arrested the student, booked him. By 3:30 p.m., he faces charges of making a terrorist threat and aggravated harassment as a hate crime. The New York Police Department Hate Crimes Task Force is investigating, and the school actually went into lockdown while authorities investigated. Officials have lifted the lockdown after NYPD determined that it was safe. What the heck? Now, Democratic State Senator Jessica Ramos said on X that she's relieved no one was harmed, that the student was in custody. The school plans to hold a special assembly featuring a Holocaust survivor. They say, we take incidents like this extremely seriously. Hate speech and threats against any community are unacceptable and will not be tolerated at Renaissance. Now, the arrest comes as anti-Semitic hate crimes in New York City have surged. NYPD data released Monday showed anti-Jewish incidents jumped 182% in January 2026 compared to January 2025, according to the Jewish News Syndicate. And the department investigated 31 anti-Semitic crimes last month versus 11 during the same period a year ago. Now, this is just frightening that people have this hatred and they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. You shouldn't hate anybody. Now, I get you might have an enemy that, somebody wronged you and you might dislike that person. But to email everybody saying you want to kill somebody based on their religion? Are you kidding me? And I've said this before, people will think, at least I'm not Jewish. So I'm on the side where I'm pretty safe. No, you're not safe. There's Christians and Catholics being killed in Nigeria. There's Iranians being murdered. I mean, there are Gazans being murdered. I mean, if you're LGBTQ, in Gaza, you're not safe. Yeah, you're safe in Israel, but you're not safe in Gaza. I mean, nobody's safe. When there's hatred, nobody is safe. And seeing people think they could be so open and that they have an audience. They're preaching to the choir. I just don't understand that. I don't get that. None of this is okay. Interesting. Adam Carolla spoke out about Bad Bunny. Again, I don't know much about Bad Bunny. His music could be great. I don't know much about many of the artists these days. I haven't been listening, but Bad Bunny has gotten a lot of attention, being that he is going to be the Super Bowl halftime show. And I thought Bad Bunny was just an OnlyFans name. I had no idea. And Adam Carolla had suggested that this could be a disaster for the NFL because they don't know who their fans are. According to Adam Carolla, and I don't know much about Bad Bunny, but Adam Carolla says a guy in a dress singing in Spanish, some crappy reggaeton music I hate. He says that will not, speaking as if the fan base, it's going to tick off their fan base. Now, Adam Carolla has been, a huge advocate for, none of this woke stuff and et cetera. And Bad Bunny could be a fantastic entertainer. I don't know. What I do know is that there is an alter halftime show because people fear that Bad Bunny is going to be very political and he's going to, have like an anti-ICE stand and I think he said he was never going to perform in America because he didn't want the Trump administration or ICE to go after his fans. And so, he obviously has taken a political stand and he and everybody has a right to, feel one way politically or not. That's what America is so wonderful about. But when football is supposed to be an escape from politics, not, Adam Carolla, as well as other people going, who are your fans? Who are who are you doing this for? Adam Carolla said the NFL has figured out that their fans are their fans and the old fans aren't going anywhere. And, quote, we need to reach out to new fans. But he said NFL is risking their brand. He said, Bud Light thought they had their fans and they weren't going anywhere. Cracker Barrel thought they had their fans and they weren't going anywhere. And I think it's happened a time or two where companies and entities figured they had their fans locked in and let's go with other fans. What though frustrates me is that, why are fans so divided? It's football. You should have a singer. They sing, they entertain. But when these entertainers decide, I'm going to infuse politics, was it Rachel Ziegler in Snow White? She's a talented actress. But when she decided to go political, and she has a right to go political, people felt like, well, why am I going to support you? I disagree with you. I don't like you now. You're uneducated on the topic. You don't know what's happened to Hamas hostages and what Hamas did to the hostages and to Israelis and what the situation is right now in Gaza and how people need to be freed from Hamas. And so when entertainers decide to, look at what happened with Billie Eilish, saying, nobody's illegal on stolen land. Well, then, the tribal community on which her mansion sits said, look, if you're going to virtue signal, you better call out, who was was stolen from, who it was stolen from. And so I think these stars think that in order to protect themselves and protect their jobs, they need to preach to the woke choir. And they don't understand that they are, one, showing that they're uneducated on the topic, and two, actually ticking off the people they think they're protecting. When I hear people in the arts say moms are individuals with vaginas, how many centuries have women fought to not be looked upon as a body with a vagina? We women are women. There's a lot to women, and we're proud of being women. And instead, we're now being diminished to, well, we have a vagina. That's how we're different. Well, no, men are amazing. There's so much to a man. Is it just about his penis? No. Guys, come on, that just doesn't make sense. You know, we want to protect women. We don't want women assaulted by men. We don't want women beaten up by men. We don't want, yet we're going to allow biological males in the boxing ring saying, yep, we are going to consider them women now. And these women are like, I don't want to be, no. Where's my protection here? You know, when you don't realize you're not to mention, you know, I have family who's Puerto Rican, and they came to this country legally. The legal immigration process is only protected if we have the legal process. The illegal individuals taking advantage of the legal immigration process ruins it for legal immigrants. And so if Bad Bunny is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, and he's Puerto Rican, he should call out how difficult it was for Puerto Ricans to get American citizenship and the work they had to go through the legal process, and how unfair it is for somebody to skip the line. But that's not his message. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out. Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So last week, one of my patients was able to scrape together $500, was able to pull together $500 to get their one Ozempic pen at Costco. And they asked, now what do I do? How do I make this last? How do I lose the weight that Oprah Winfrey has lost? Another one of my listeners got a coupon for $199, got their prescription, their GLP-1 prescription for $199 a month. They were able to pull $199 together to get their 1 month prescription. Now what? pray. You're going to need to pull together another $500 for next month or another $199 for next month. So there's some deals that are being advertised. The Trump RX website is still not up. Trump RX, President Trump said by this year, I think by the summer. At first I thought it was going to be by January, but I think it's by the summer. There are going to be prescriptions that are going to be cheaper. He's been negotiated with pharmaceutical companies to ensure that we have the best price. We are not going to be paying more than Europe, Mexico, any other developed country. And Trump RX is going to allow there to be prescriptions that are going to be cheaper. Trust me, they are going to get this website up because the midterms are coming. And one of Trump's biggest accomplishments is getting drug prices down. And so it will happen. It's just not available yet. In the meantime, the drug companies have said, look, we will be offering $500 Ozempic, $500 cash price if insurance isn't covering it. You could get that at Costco or Sam's Club or most pharmacies. And with GoodRx and with the manufacturer's coupons, for some people, they could get it for $199. Now, it's the lower dosing. It's the less concentrated dosing. For starters, they want people to start and then get hooked on it and say, ooh, I like this. And I think the $199 lasts for a couple months and then it immediately goes up to $2 something and then $500. So for those of you who don't have insurance covering the medication, it's going to be a pretty penny. If you're paying $500 a month, that's about $6,000 a year for a weight loss drug that your body may get used to, may not work, may cause side effects, may work. But do you have $6,000 a month burning a hole in your pocket? Or I'm sorry, $6,000 a year burning a hole in your pocket that you could use on this. So what do? You scrape together 500 big ones and you have one pen. And you're going to want to try to make that last as long as possible before you need to scrape together another $500. Well, you bought it. It's just, I think you're already seeing that this is not going to be something that's going to be sustainable if you don't have insurance covering it. So there's a few things I recommend. First and foremost, try to get insurance to cover it. Now, how do you get insurance to cover a medication they don't want to cover? Well, most insurances still are not into covering it for weight loss. The medicines are just too expensive. And there's just too many people who are obese. But if you have diabetes, if you are pre-diabetic, if you have comorbidities like high blood pressure, like arthritis, your insurance might cover it. So the first piece of advice I recommend is get back to a medical provider. I know everybody's just using online and calling Roe or whoever to get their prescriptions. And I'm grateful that there's these entities out there to allow people to have access to medical care. But try to get back to your regular doctor. They might even need to refer you to an endocrinologist who deals with prediabetes, who deals with what's really, really nice about seeing a specialist or a nutritionist or et cetera. Is some of these people get samples of the medications. So they can even start you on a sample. If it works and you like it, then they can start, working on prior authorization to get the insurance to cover it. Now, my husband has diabetes. It took a whole year to get insurance to cover the medication for his diabetes, not even for weight loss, for diabetes. But he had full-blown diabetes. If you have a medical condition, the insurance might cover it. So first and foremost, get yourself checked out. If you're pre-diabetic, if you're diabetic, if you have high cholesterol, I don't want you to have that. But many of you don't realize that you already have that diagnosis. And then insurance could help cover it. If you're just doing it for weight loss and you want to have a bikini body by June, it's going to cost you money. And with the prescription you have, the first thing I would do before you do your first injection is go hit the gym. Go hit the gym and start building up some muscle. Because one, you don't want to lose your muscle on that medication. And two, you're going to need that muscle to increase your metabolism. I would also consider starting with a lower dose. What that medicine does is it helps with some of the food noise, helps with some of the cravings, makes you feel a little bit more full. What I'm hearing from the average person is after a while, it doesn't work anymore. So you need to be prepared that you're going to get hungry again. So I want you to go and hit the gym to start exercising and get your appetite down that way and build up some muscle. I also want you to go to the grocery store and get some vegetables. And get some non-sugary, non-fattening foods. Get some single ingredient foods. Because if you do start to get hungry on that medication, I want you to grab a celery stick as opposed to a piece of chocolate or a diet soda. And so the best advice I could give you is expect what you have to not last very long. Now, some people are saying, look, Dr. Dahlia, I'm going to spend the $500 a month. I'm going to make this work. To me, it's necessary for my health. And it may be. If you can get long-term weight loss on this, and you really, really feel it's going to help you long-term, and your doctor's okay with it, and you're not getting side effects, all the power to you. But if you, like me, it takes a long shot to scrape $500 extra together to spend on this. You need to realize that, even if you lose 5 or 10 pounds in 1 month, March is coming pretty quickly. And what are you going to do for March? And, there's been some, we're going to be talking about this later, where some of my listeners have spouses who's spending a lot of money and they don't think the medication's working. And how do they talk to them about, maybe coming up with another plan? It's a lot of money. Now, some people say, well, why don't I just buy the higher strength and try and make it last? And I know you hear these commercials about microdosing. Be careful. If you take too high a dose too quickly, you could get side effects. I would really ease into any of these medicines if it's new. The 199 coupons are for the low dose. So those are hard to stretch out. But talk to your medical provider. Make sure somebody is advising you and guiding you and supervising you. There's a way to lose weight on these medications, and there's a way to keep the weight off. But it's going to take a lot of work. And don't have a Jesus take the wheel approach with these shots. Have the majority of your weight loss credited to your exercise, to your food choices, to your muscle building, and to your new mindset. But if you're planning on going to Outback Steakhouse and asking for a to-go box, hoping that the shot makes you only want to eat 2 bites, I'm telling you right now, you're going to gain that weight back. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.